Most people who move to Kitsap County either land in Silverdale, Bremerton, Port Orchard, or Paulsville. And those are all solid options, don't get me wrong. But one community in this county that barely shows up in any real estate conversations, any relocation videos, or any best places to live list, and every single time I show it to someone for the first time, they say the same thing. Why has nobody told me about this place? And that place is Olalla, Washington. I'm going to break down exactly what it is, who it's perfect for, what the real estate actually looks like, and the things that you need to know before you decide if it's where you want to plant your flag in the Pacific Northwest. Here's what most people think when they're shopping Kitsap. They open Zillow, they type in Port Orchard or Silverdale, and they assume that they've seen everything South Kitsap has to offer. They're comparing price per square foot in established subdivisions, treating the whole region like a grid. And Olalla? It doesn't show up on the grid. It's not a city. It's not incorporated. There's no downtown strip. There's barely a stoplight. So people skip it completely. But here's what those people are missing. Olalla sits on Colvos Passage along Puget Sound, literally the waterfront. It's surrounded by 600 plus acres of forested parkland. It has access to the Southworth Ferry corridor, a 26-minute fast ferry to downtown Seattle. And the real estate, you're getting acreage, privacy, and water views, and Pacific Northwest character that would cost you twice as much anywhere near Seattle or even Gig Harbor, and it's literally right next door to Gig Harbor. I'm James Bergstrom. I'm a broker and the owner of Paramount Real Estate Group right here in Kitsap County. I live and work in this market. I've represented buyers in Olalla, and I know the quirks of the roads, the ferry logistics, the land, the septic requirements, all of it. I'm going to give you the honest version, not just a highlight reel. Here's what we're covering today. What Olalla actually is and why it's different from anything else in Kitsap. The geography and lifestyle that makes it special. The real estate landscape, what you can buy and what you'll pay. The commute reality, including the ferry options. The honest caveats, because this place isn't for everyone. And finally, who Olalla is actually perfect for. So if you're moving to the Pacific Northwest and you want something with character, land, and a view, stick with me through this one. It might just change your entire search. Let's get to point one. Let me start with the land itself, because most people don't even know what they're looking at. When they hear the name Olalla, Olalla is an unincorporated community in South Kitsap County, Washington, sitting right on Colvos Passage along Puget Sound. It's positioned just north of Pierce County line. The name comes from the Chinook jargon word for berries, which tells you something about the land. This place was lush, fertile, and abundant long before any of us got here. So when I say the geography is good, I mean legitimately stunning. You're not buying a house in a suburb that happens to be near nature. You are in nature. Anderson Point Park has one of the only long sandy beaches on the entire Kitsap side of Puget Sound. And when you're standing on that beach, you've got Vashon Island directly across the water, Mount Rainier to your southeast on a clear day, and absolutely nothing around you except forest and salt water. Banner Forest is 635 acres of trails for hiking, mountain biking, and horseback riding right in your backyard. That's not a city park. That's a legitimate wilderness preserve. And it's literally attached to the community. Here's the bigger picture. The Pacific Northwest real estate market consistently prices the name before it prices the actual land. Gig Harbor has a name. Bainbridge Island has a name. Even Port Orchard has grown its name. Olalla has the geography without the name tax, and that window won't stay open forever. Communities like this get discovered, and when they do, the prices catch up fast. So now that you know what the land looks like, let me tell you what the actual community feels like to live in, because this is where Olalla gets genuinely interesting. Olalla isn't a neighborhood that was built by a developer. It wasn't subdivided in the 1990s. It has an actual identity. one that was shaped by Scandinavian immigrants in the 1800s, logging and farming culture, the Mosquito Fleet era of Puget Sound shipping, and more than 100 years of community-driven development. The Olalla Community Club has been operating since 1906. The Olalla Bible Church was built around 1910. These aren't historical markers, they're still operating community anchors. So if you're relocating from a major metro area and you want to feel like you actually know your neighbors, Olalla delivers that in a way most communities can't manufacture. The Olalla Community Club hosts a concert series running September through May. That's 8 concerts a year, different genres every month, potluck dinner before the show. That's not a next door post, that's a living tradition. The Olalla Lavender Festival launched in 2024 and brought over 1,500 visitors in its debut year. In 2025, expanded to a second venue, the Olalla Grange, with 8 live bands, artisan vendors, and farm tours. This is a community that is building momentum and not declining. There's a local winery, the Olalla Valley Vineyard, private wine tastings, antique furnishings, Pacific Northwest views. That's your Friday night 10 minutes from your house. Every New Year's Day, locals do a polar bear plunge right in Olalla Bay. Not because someone organized it on Facebook, because that's just what people do here. There's a growing wave of relocators, especially remote workers, who are not looking for a commuter town. They're looking for a community they belong to. Olalla has that culture already. You're not hoping it develops. Now, I want to be honest with you here. If you need walkable restaurants, a Starbucks on a corner, or a Friday night scene within 5 minutes of your house, Olalla is not your answer. This is rural, Pacific Northwest. The amenities are a winery, a community market, and 635 acres of trails. So if that excites you, awesome. If it doesn't, I have other options for you. Okay, so the land is stunning and the community is real, but here's the question everybody actually wants answered. What does the real estate look like? And can you afford it? So let's get into the money. If you're watching this because you're actually thinking about making a move to Washington State, I put together a free Washington State relocation guide that walks you through everything you need to know before you pick a city, a neighborhood, or even a zip code. It's in the description below, so grab it before you keep watching. It'll give you a lot of context for everything I'm about to cover. Let's talk about what you can actually buy here and what you'll pay. Olalla's real estate market is not like the rest of South Kitsap. The inventory is smaller, the lots are larger, and the mix of properties runs a wide range, from manufactured homes on 2-acre parcels to custom estates on 2+ gated acres with Puget Sound views. Here's the current snapshot. The median closed price for single-family homes over the last 6 months is around $775,000. Median price per square foot is around $392. Active listings typically run between 9 and 20 homes at any given time. Days on the market runs 90 to 124 days, and you're looking at about 3 months of supply, which is a balanced market. Compare that to Kitsap County's overall median of around $560,000. Olalla runs above the county median. And that's because you're not buying a subdivision home. You're buying land, acreage, privacy, and in many cases, views. The homes that sell in the $500,000 to $650,000 range are typically 2 to 3 bedroom rural properties on 1 to 2+ acres. Some manufactured, some older craftsman styles, often with well and septic. The $750,000 to $1.2 million range is where you start getting the custom estates, the Puget Sound view parcels, and the larger equestrian properties. Days on the market in Olalla runs longer than the county average, and that is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of a niche market. The buyer pool is smaller because this community is specific. And that means if you're a patient buyer, you have negotiating leverage that you don't have in Port Orchard or Silverdale, where homes move in days. Most buyers I talk to from out of state compare Kitsap to King County, and they're getting a deal no matter what. But within Kitsap, there's a spectrum. Bainbridge Island is over $1 million median. Gig Harbor runs $764,000. Olalla sits above the county median, but below the Gig Harbor name premium, and you're getting more land for the money. That's the arbitrage window. It's not going to exist forever. One honest caveat here is most properties in Olalla are on well and private septic, not city water and sewer. That is not a red flag, but it is a due diligence item before you fall in love within a property. You need a well inspection and a septic evaluation, and I have trusted vendors for both. But buyers who skip this step occasionally get surprised. So now, you know what the land costs, but can you actually get there? Let's talk Commute. And this is where Olalla has a genuine secret weapon. Here's the Commute situation from Olalla, and it's more versatile than people realize. If you're driving to Seattle the long way, 54 miles via Tacoma and I-5, you're looking at 60 to 80 minutes depending on traffic. Tacoma is a straight shot. You jump on SR 16, south through Gig Harbor, and you're there in 20 to 25 minutes. Gig Harbor is 15 minutes. Port Orchard is 15 to 20 minutes. But here's the headline, and this is the thing that most people don't know about. The Southworth Fast Ferry. Kitsap Transit's passenger ferry, the Initai, and runs between Southworth and downtown Seattle's Pier 50 in only 26 minutes. Southworth is about 12 minutes from Olalla by car. Parking at the dock runs around $5. Think about that math. You leave your rural acreage property in Olalla, you drive 12 minutes through some of the most beautiful forest road scenery in Kitsap County, you park for $5, and 26 minutes later, you're standing right in downtown Seattle. That's not a lifestyle compromise, that's a lifestyle upgrade. And if you prefer the car ferry with your vehicle, the Washington State Ferry Fauntleroy to Vashon Southworth route also runs through this terminal as well. That gets your car to West Seattle within downtown Seattle, another 20 minutes from there. The Fast Ferry runs a commuter-oriented schedule, heavier morning and evening sailings. So if you're a hybrid worker, commuting 2-3 days a week, this is almost designed for your lifestyle. But one honest caveat on the roads themselves. Olalla does not have a grid of neighborhood streets. Olalla Valley Road and Banner Road are the primary corridors. They are winding, rural, and beautiful, but they are also narrow and hilly. If you're used to suburban grid navigation, adjust your expectations. You will love the drive, but your GPS instincts need to adapt. The biggest objection I hear from buyers considering rural properties in South Kitsap is, but it's too far from everything. Well, Olalla answers that question decisively. Rural feel, real connectivity, that combination is extremely rare at this price point and in the entire Pacific Northwest. Well, I've shown you the geography, the community, the real estate, and the commute. Now, the final question, who is Olalla actually right for? And who should probably look elsewhere? I'm going to be direct. Every place has trade-offs. Olallas are real, and I'd rather you know them before you drive out here and fall in love with a property that doesn't fit your life. Number one, there is no walkable commercial district. Olalla Bay Market is the community hub. It is charming, but it's not a shopping center. You're 15 to 20 minutes from Port Orchard or Gig Harbor for groceries, dining, and services. Number two, well and septic everywhere. City water and sewer does not reach most of Olalla. This is a due diligence item, not a deal breaker, but it adds cost and complexity to the process. Number three, limited inventory. There are typically fewer than 20 active listings at any given time. If you need to buy within 30 days, this market may not accommodate that timeline. Number four, rural road navigation. The roads are narrow, winding, and gorgeous, but they're not for people who need a 10-lane road to their front door. Number five, cell and internet service can be inconsistent. It's improving, but if you're 100% dependent on a strong signal from a rural lot, you need to verify coverage before you buy. And one more thing worth knowing. As of 2025, there is a community-driven effort to protect Banner Forest from proposed county logging activity. It's an active local issue. The community is engaged and organized around it, which is a good sign. But if preserving that 635-acre park matters to you, it's worth understanding the current status. The buyers who regret buying in a place like Olalla are almost always the same who made decisions emotionally and didn't stress test the daily logistics. The buyers who love it are the ones who looked at the trade-offs clearly and decided they were either irrelevant or worth it. My job is to give you both sides so you can decide not to sell you a zip code. Now that I've given you the full picture, let me tell you exactly who Olalla is the right fit for. And if this is you, you need to move fast, because this is not a community that stays invisible forever. I've worked with enough buyers at this point to know Olalla has a very specific buyer profile, and if you match it, this community is not just a good option, it may be the best option for your situation. Here's who Olalla is built for. You are relocating from a major metro, Seattle, Portland, the Bay Area, or a dense East Coast city, and you are done with the density. You work remotely 3 to 5 days a week, and you need connectivity, but not proximity. You want acreage, land, and genuine privacy without a 2-hour commute to civilization. You value community identity. You want to actually know your neighbors. Outdoor access is not a bonus for you. It's a lifestyle non-negotiable. You want to buy before the market figures this place out, and you have the patience for a slightly slower purchasing process, because the reward is a home that genuinely reflects who you are. Now, let me tell you why timing matters. Olalla is where Gig Harbor was 30 years ago. It has the water, the forest, the geography, and the community roots. What it doesn't yet have is the name recognition that drives up prices. So when communities like this get discovered, and they always do, the move up happens fast. Remote work has accelerated this in almost every rural waterfront community in the Pacific Northwest. The buyers who locked into Gig Harbor in the early 2000s look like geniuses today. The buyers who get into Olalla now, while inventory is thin but prices haven't caught up to the geography, are going to tell a very similar story. That's not a sales pitch. That's a market observation, and I'd rather you hear it from me than figure it out in 3 years when you're priced out. So before I wrap this up, if you're seriously considering a move to Washington State and you want a full breakdown of the market, the regions, and what areas are growing, and what the real estate costs are, and how to find the right community for your lifestyle, I have a free Washington State relocation guide that covers all of it. It's in the description below. Zero spam, just the information. Grab it now while you're thinking about it, and then let's talk. Let's land the plane. Olalla, Washington is a waterfront, forested, historically rooted community in South Kitsap County that most buyers never find. Not because it's hidden, but because it's not shouting for attention. You have 635 acres of forest trails in your backyard. You have Colvos Passage and Puget Sound at your doorstep. You have a 26-minute fast ferry to downtown Seattle if you need it. And you have a genuine community identity that was built over a century, not manufactured by a developer. And the real estate, you're buying land, privacy, and Pacific Northwest character at prices that still make sense in a market that hasn't caught up to what the geography is actually worth. If you came into this video thinking, I want to live in the Pacific Northwest, but everything near Seattle is either too expensive or too crowded, Olalla has just answered your question. I know some of you came in thinking Olalla was going to be a quirky little footnote in a Kitsap County overview, but if I did my job right today, you're leaving with a completely different impression. This place is the real deal, and it's still available at a price that matches the opportunity. So if you're ready to take the next step, whether that's just doing more research or actually starting a property search in Olalla, I've got 2 things for you. First, the Washington State Relocation Guide in the description below. It's free, no strings. It gives you the full context for making a smart decision about where in Washington to plant your roots. Second, if you want to have a real conversation about Olalla specifically, or South Kitsap in general, reach out directly. My contact's in the description too. I'm not here to pressure you into anything. I'm here to give you the information that helps you make the right call. And if this video helped you, hit subscribe, leave a comment below and tell me where you're moving from, and share this with someone who's trying to figure out Washington State. There's more where this came from.